Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AskReddit. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Men and women of Reddit who caught their significant others cheating. How did you do that? And what was your reaction? June 1st, 2018. Normal day. A Friday. My husband had kissed me goodbye and gone to work. I was cleaning the house for company who was coming to stay the weekend. The doorbell rang. There was a man at my door who introduced himself as the husband of a woman who my husband worked with. He was there to tell me that my husband and his wife were having an affair. He had busted them about 6 months prior and had told his wife that she had to end the affair. He thinks that she did end it, for about 3 months, but then they started up again. When he found out they were at it again, he called my husband, because he knew if he confronted him in person, he'd be in a jail cell for what he'd have done. On the phone, he told my husband to leave his wife alone or else he would come and tell me everything that was happening. Apparently, my husband thought that he was bluffing. So I was literally the last to know. My husband never came home again. He got an Airbnb and a lawyer. The divorce was December 21st, 2018. We had been together for 24 years. Still hurts. My ex and I used to share a computer. She was getting messages from her first boyfriend. I didn't bother reading them, because I figured he was just saying hi or wanted to know where she was in life now. A couple of months later, I'm on the computer, and she insisted that she log out while I'm there. Okay. Things feel weird here. Another couple of days pass, and she wants to visit her parents. Okay, cool. I keep the kids and she goes off. I get a call from one of my buddies who works at a hotel where my ex and I are both from, saying my wife just checked in with another guy. So long story short, divorced her. Fuck you, Stephanie. I caught my wife after she passed away from cancer. Worst feeling ever. Caught between unending love, mourning and absolute anger. Wow man, that is fucking tragic. Please tell me you're seeking help with working through that ocean of emotions. How did you find out? This is almost word for word how the convo went. Me, you sleeping with so-and-so. Her, yeah. Me, want a divorce. Her, kinda. Me, okay, I'll file tomorrow. I like how simple that went. Sometimes it's just done, you know? But I'm curious, was it really as short as it sounds? Like neither of you make it worse? This is saddest comment I've read in this thread so far. Went for my yearly checkup and tested positive for chlamydia. Turns out my ex was sleeping around. We got married when I was 17, and he was 21. He was shipping off to sea, and I was escaping a bad home life. When he came back after his deployment, he wasn't the same person anymore. After about 6 months, he gained weight on purpose to fail his physicals so he'd get kicked out of the Navy. Fast forward a year, I'm working full-time, and he is sitting at home, watching anime and drinking during the day, and telling me that he was applying to jobs. I was applying to universities when my laptop died on me. I asked to use his to finish an app, and while doing so a message popped up on his FB. A topless pic of his ex, from her. I was shocked and opened it to find that they'd been dating for a long time. Started again, while he was at sea in the Navy, he would talk to her and never to me, saying that he never got the time to email. She had sent him a pic because he had said how he missed having big tits like hers to play with, and how mine were just too small, so he felt like he was fucking a boy or a child. I confronted him, he made a bunch of pitiful excuses. I had my friends come to the house that day and kick him out while I went to work. He then stalked me for the next few years, and made posts on his FB about how I was a coward. He sent emails and called from blocked numbers to tell me that a restraining order is just a piece of paper, or that our vows before God made me his property and shit like that. Then he bought a gun, and started telling our friends that if he can't have me, no one can. I ended up talking to our friends, and told everyone conflicting information about where I was going, and moved states. I deleted all my personal social media accounts, and lived in fear for years, watching him continually make memes about how he loved his wife, and would do anything for her. It took 8 years for me to finally get the divorce from him. The story is remarkable in that it happened before the internet was widely available, in the very early 90s, when the world seemed much bigger. My fiancée, Meg, had one semester left of college that had to be taken as an internship abroad for her major. She chose to go to Belgium for this internship. I stayed back and the plan was that I would set up house, and when she returned that summer, she would move directly in and we would set a date for our wedding. So, while Meg was off in Europe, calling every couple of weeks to check in, the long distance was super expensive back then, sending me postcards and letters. I moved into a brownstone, bought furniture, etc. About 2 weeks before Meg was supposed to return, I stopped into a nearby coffee house that I had noticed down the block, but had yet to visit. To my surprise, I found that my neighbor from growing up in a completely different city, Claire, was a waitress there. We hadn't seen each other since high school, so we made a plan to meet up after her shift for a cup of coffee to catch up. We met and Claire told me that she was engaged as well, to a man, Ben, who was completing his course of study by working on an internship in, you guessed it, Belgium. I couldn't believe the coincidence, and told her about my fiancé, and that they had to know each other. Crazy, right? A couple days later, I stopped in for a cup of coffee and Claire looked extremely upset. She asked if I had time to wait, as she had a break coming up, and that she needed to talk to me. We went outside and she told me that she had gotten a call from her Aunt Sue the day before. Aunt Sue had just returned from Czechoslovakia, and that something very strange had happened. While they were touring Prague, Sue and her travel group had stayed in a local hotel, and the next morning she had run into Claire's fiancé, Ben, in the lobby, with a female companion by the name of Meg. She said that he introduced her as a student from America, that they worked together, but it was very awkward and they both looked scared shitless. Claire said that she immediately called long distance to Belgium, and after several tries over the course of a day or so, got him on the phone. She asked him about the chance encounter, and he said he had been kind of expecting her call, and ended up admitting that he had been seeing Meg pretty much the entire time they were in Europe, spending weekends and holidays traveling around with each other. I was floored. Couldn't believe it. I went home and started trying to call Meg at her dorm in Belgium, finally getting through to her late into the night, early morning for her. I point blank asked her if she was dating Ben. I didn't even explain how I knew about it. She hemmed and hawed for a moment, kind of acting like I was crazy for saying something so nonsensical, but when I said that I knew Claire, she dropped the facade and admitted to all of it. So Ben and Meg had a very bittersweet homecoming. Meg got off much easier than Ben, as Claire had already left all of his belongings on the front lawn, from the day she found out, which had been pretty picked over by the time he got back 2 weeks later. I did pick Meg up from the airport. I think at the time I really just wanted to see her face when I told her that all of our friends knew what a piece of shit she was, and that I never wanted to see her again. To this day I revel in how many utterly astounding factors of complete random coincidence went into Meg and Ben, who later married, then later divorced after he cheated on her, being caught. The universe works in incredible and mysterious ways. I caught my ex sexting a chick and telling her how he missed her on my birthday. I was young at the time and reacting with crying and yelling. If it ever happened now I would just get up and leave. No point in trying to mend the relationship because it's near impossible to gain the trust that was lost. Same shit happened to me and did the same. More so cried and for some reason wished he'd begged and pleaded to make things better. He didn't that day and I left. Fast forward 2 weeks and he was begging for me back. Got back together 2 months later only for it to end a couple weeks later. As you said, once the trust is gone, it's never the same. I owned a house with my fiancé. I woke up in the middle of the night and he wasn't in bed. I went searching. His truck and another vehicle were in the driveway. Then, I went upstairs and found the guest bedroom was locked. After barging my way in, I found him with another woman in bed. That bed happened to be my childhood bed. He forced me out of the room, literally grabbed me by the neck and pushed me out and closed the door back. I knew I couldn't do anything at that point, so I called his parents who lived a few blocks away. His dad showed up and another fight broke out. I ended up leaving and staying at his parents until dawn. I moved out that weekend and let the house foreclose. 9 years later. It's finally off my credit report. I'm happily married to an amazing man and we own a beautiful home together. I had some really good friends in the next town over where my girlfriend lived, and they figured it out for me. They were super gentle about it, and patient with me through my denial. Those are real friends. This first started back in December right before we went on a holiday trip to see my family. She started acting somewhat off, kinda distant, and easily aggravated. I had a suspicion that something was going on, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I snooped on her rewatch. Found some incriminating texts she had with a friend, so I confronted her in January. She tells me that she kissed a guy that she works with, and that was it. We were having some issues in our relationship, and I choose to forgive her, and we decided to try working on some of the issues we were having. Well, fast forward to this past May, she breaks down that she wasn't honest with me, and that she had actually fucked this other dude. We split after the news. We had been together 8 years, and had been engaged for almost 2 years. Our wedding date was supposed to be fucking yesterday. It's still fucking killing me. I don't even know where to go from here. 2020 can go eat a dick. Removed. What a bro. Removed. This is a level of petty I aspire to. This is exactly what he deserves. People never fail to surprise me. How the fuck do you have the heart to say these atrocious things about your girlfriend? A friend of mine was suspicious of her husband cheating, as he went to play soccer with friends way too often. He always came already showered as he would sweat playing. One day she sewed his soccer socks together, and when he came back all showered she saw the socks were still sewed, so he wasn't playing soccer at all. That's creative. Removed. For years ago I was dating a girl who became distant and disinterested in a lot of things we both enjoyed together. Despite attempts to talk about it, she only grew more distant, then became less available to hang out, and suddenly was working late a lot. I started getting suspicious about cheating when she was on her phone non-stop. Again I tried to talk about it, but she wouldn't engage. She also just didn't want to break up with me for whatever reason. I was actually going to end it on my own, but one weekend when she was seemingly unavailable, some mutual friends told me they spotted her with a dude from her work, and they were all over each other. Coincidentally, she had also lent me her iPad, and it was synced to her phone, so I saw lots of texts between those two over that weekend. They were talking about running away together, etc. He was married and her supervisor. Mutual friends were also composed of her co-workers and reported them to HR. They were both forced to do training on not sleeping with co-workers, they were both denied promotion, his wife left him, and she moved overseas. Sucked at the time, I was devastated, but karma got them good. Dated a girl for about 2 years. Like 18 months into the relationship we're talking about moving in together. Then kinda out of nowhere she starts becoming distant and irritable. We ended up breaking up. Fast forward 3 months after the breakup I found that Facebook has a section where messages from non-friends are kept. Turns out my then GF was banging her ex, and the UPS driver that delivered to her store at the mall. She ended getting with the UPS driver and his 3 kids. Last I checked they're fucking miserable, and it brings me joy every time I think about it. So the mailman memes aren't fiction after all. It wasn't a big damn breaking moment. It was a lot of little things. Like how she'd cancel plans at the last second. Or the random phone calls from unknown numbers she'd get, this was back before spam calls were an epidemic, or how her phone was mysteriously off one night when I needed to get a hold of her. I had my suspicions, and then finally it clicked into place when I did some Instagram snooping and found a guy who followed her who posted a selfie wearing a very unique jacket that belonged to her. I confronted her the next day. She denied it. Tears. Begging. All of that. I dumped her and walked away. The next day I messaged that guy on Instagram and he confirmed everything. Had no idea I existed. He dumped her too. Last I heard she's an EMT in Utah, Wyoming. Hope she figured out how not to be a garbage person. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.